Hello, my fellow rebels. Welcome to the Beauty Confidential Lounge for the visionary who desires sacred alignment. I am your host, Chaitali Desai. And guys, you know how much I love brain science. You know how much I love to get into the beliefs, how you actually operate, and all that juicy stuff. And today I have a special guest, Leah Agami, who is going to be joining us. She is a board certified scientific hypnotherapist, hypnosis instructor, and subconscious mind expert. Hello, can you hear all the excitement that I'm bringing in today? This is going to be so exciting. And without further ado, let's just get into this because I know Leah has so much to share, and I'm sure I have so many questions. So, welcome, Leah. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I am doing great, and I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Oh, God, me too. I am fascinated with everything brain science and how to improve ourselves because I'm sure, as you know, our operating system is based on someone who was once a 5 to 7 year old. I don't know about you, but I'm not 5, I'm not 7, and I don't want to operate from that mindset anymore, right?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realize, even as grown adults, subconsciously speaking, we're still operating like 5, 6, 7 year olds. So,
Right.
really, like 95% of our daily decisions are ran and dictated by our 5 year old self, which can be a scary concept.
Right? I mean, that's crazy. That's literally like putting your 5-year-old in the driver's seat of the car. No, thank you.
And
So,
in charge of
before
your
we
life, in charge of your business. Exactly.
I know. So before I get carried away and want to just dive right in, I'd love for you to introduce yourself. I know I gave like a highlight of everything that you are, but fill us in. How did you get into all of this?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, my background previous to hypnosis is actually in sales and marketing and business management. So, I did that for about 10 years, but really knew from the age of 12 that hypnosis was meant to be my lane. So, that was my very first exposure to it. I was watching, so this was 28 years ago, do the math. I was watching a popular TV talk show at the time where they brought one of the guests on the show was a hypnotist. And that was the first time I ever heard anything about hypnosis, very first exposure. And this guy is doing all types of hypnotic demonstrations with the audience members and then pulling some of them on stage to help them overcome things like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and phobias, and doing it in a matter of minutes. And I thought to myself, it almost seemed like magic, but he
Right.
explained it as a science. So, and I'm very much into that as well. So I was instantly intrigued and thought, my gosh, like how am I just hearing about this at the age of 12? How did I go 12 years of my life and I never knew about this stuff that existed? And so that was really my first fascination with it. But that was like before the days of internet, and I didn't really know how to learn more about it. And then fast
Right.
forward about 3 years, I was in high school and enrolled in a psychology class because I really thought I wanted to be a psychologist and do talk therapy because I
Makes
wanted to
sense.
help people, and it kind of seemed to be my go-to anyway. All my friends would always come to me for advice. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just be a talk therapist and get into psychology. So in psychology class, they brought a hypnotist in for about 3 days to talk about hypnotherapy and how the subconscious mind works. And now he's doing all these demonstrations with some of my friends and fellow students who I knew personally, and I knew for a fact these people were not pre-planted. They were not playing
They weren't
along with some sort
actors.
of script. Like, they were hypnotized. And so that was a very compelling experience, just to see it again and have that second exposure. And I knew then, really at 15, like, I need to be doing this one day, but still didn't really know how to go about it and how to get on that pathway. And then fast forward another 4 years, no, probably about 5, 6 years later, I think I was about 21 years old. That was probably my most influential exposure to hypnosis, when I experienced it myself and was hypnotized for the very first time. And that was for insomnia, which I had struggled with for years and tried everything under the sun to overcome it. I had sleep studies done. I went to neurologists and sleep specialists and tried medication and, the holistic route. I mean, you name it, and nothing really worked. And then when I had my sleep study done, they told me you really had a very normal sleep study. So there's nothing wrong. It's all in your mind. Go see a hypnotherapist. So I thought to myself, here's this hypnosis thing showing up in my life yet again. And so, that was the first time I really reached out to someone to be hypnotized myself. And at the time I didn't know, but the hypnotist that I reached out to was in a different state. And I was like, well, how is this going to work? Because I'm not going to be traveling from Arizona to New York to have this session. He said, no problem. We can do this over the phone. I do this all the time. I didn't even know you could be hypnotized over the phone. So now I'm kind of skeptical, and I'm like, well, is this really going to work? And I know it works for other people, but we tend to think we're special somehow and we're the exception to the rule. It's not going to work for us. Right? So I'm thinking, but I've tried everything else. So what do I have to lose at this point? I'll give it a shot. And frankly, I didn't even think I was hypnotized during the session. He has me close my eyes and I'm following his voice and suggestions. But it actually worked in that one single session. Like I slept like a baby that night for the first time in years. It worked like magic, even though it's science. But I was blown away. I was stunned. I've never even met this person in person. I was in my home just listening to him over the phone. And I had I think 1 or 2 other follow-up sessions just to reinforce it and make it really stick. And that was really the end of my insomnia. So it was that simple, that easy. I didn't even think I was hypnotized, and yet it still worked. I probably should have had him hypnotize me for procrastination, because it still took me about another 6 years to enroll in school and get certified myself, which is something I'd wanted to do for years. But then I finally did. I just had enough with corporate America and being employed by somebody else and someone else, dictating my destiny. And really being what I felt at the time was pretty meaningless work compared to what I could be doing and felt like I should be doing instead. And so that's when there was in 2010, I enrolled in hypnotherapy school, got trained, got certified, opened my practice 2 weeks later, quit my full-time job on the spot, had 30 hypnosis clients lined up my first week. Was consistently then seeing, 30 to 35 clients a week, 7 days a week. And turns out there's a high demand for this type of work. And so got to a point where I really couldn't keep up with the overflow, just had too many clients, only one of me. And so I opened a second office, hired 4 more hypnotherapists to take over that overflow. And within the first year became the most successful and busiest practice in Arizona. So that's how I got started.
Well, that's awesome. You. Before we dive into what hypnosis is, can we step back for a second? Because you alluded to this earlier, talking about hypnosis like as magic or as skeptical. So for people who are listening or who are viewing the live stream, what is hypnosis not? Because I know it's not magic. I know it's science, but let's kind of delve into that, because look, we all grew up most likely in an era where we had big spinny black and white wheel and the whole I'm going to put you in a trance and make you bark like a dog kind of a thing. So let's break down the stereotypes first, shall we? So what is hypnosis not?
Yep. And that's what I typically cover when people ask about what it is. I usually cover what it isn't, because as you mentioned, there are so many false associations and ideas around it that people have. And I think that's what sometimes holds a lot of people back from trying it, from doing it themselves, because they think it's some sort of voodoo or a form of mind control, which it's neither one of those things. There's nothing magical or spiritual or mystical about it, really. It's 100% science. And so hypnosis can be explained in several different ways. You can define it as a state of lower subconscious mind activity. It's a lower brainwave frequency state that we go
So
to
like when
every
we're
single
talking
day.
frequency, you mean like REM, so like the alpha, the beta, theta, all of those
Exactly,
wavelengths, right?
exactly. Yep, yep. So if beta is our awakened state, which we're both in right now, your listeners are in right now as they're listening to this conversation and processing it and rationalizing it. Once we go down from beta, we go into the alpha brainwave state, which is the lightest state of hypnosis. And then it goes deeper from there. So theta is like a medium state of hypnosis, and then delta is the deepest state of hypnosis before sleep. So a lot of people think hypnosis is a sleep state, especially because they see a hypnotist saying, you know, you're getting sleepy or asleep and snapping your fingers.
Yeah.
It's actually not a sleep state. It's a state between awake and asleep. So you're not quite fully awake, but you're not deeply asleep either. You're in
So
that in
that
between
explains why
state.
you felt like you weren't being hypnotized.
Exactly. And
Right?
about 80% of people who get hypnotized have no idea they're hypnotized.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
let's give like a modern day example as so we can correlate it or we can relate to it like in our regular day-to-day life. It's kind of like when you get behind the driver's seat and you start at your house and all of a sudden you're at your grocery store that you go to all the time. It's a
And you're
form
like,
of
how did I
hypnosis,
get
is it
here?
not? Right? Like when you
Absolutely.
get
So
there,
actually, there's
yeah,
a
I
term for
a
it.
quote unquote like the same level of hypnosis that we're talking about, but it is a form, is it not?
Absolutely. So there's actually a term for it. It's called highway hypnosis or
Oh,
hypnotic driving. Yep. So it's
okay.
something that we all pretty much have experienced. We get to our destination and kind of have no idea how we got there, but somehow we got there safely. And that
Right.
happens in the alpha brainwave state. So our eyes are not closed. We're not slumped over and appearing to be asleep or anything like that. But we are thinking usually about something else other than driving. We could be talking to someone in the car or talking on the phone or listening to music or just daydreaming about God knows
Or
what,
listening to the podcast.
or listening to the podcast. Exactly. And somehow
Okay.
our subconscious guides us to our destination safely and seamlessly without us even thinking about it. So that happens in a light state of hypnosis. And it's
Okay.
absolutely a form of hypnosis that we all have experienced if we've driven a
Right.
car.
So I think like having that relationship with hypnosis already, 99% of everyone who drives has felt this, is like nodding their head, I'm sure, as they're listening to us talk about this. So actually, let's segue. You're talking about a light state of hypnosis. Now, in this state of hypnosis, okay, we get safely to the grocery store. But let's talk about procrastination, because that's one of the reasons you and I have met, so to speak. Um, Procrastination is a whole different level because you don't know why you're well, you do know why you're procrastinating. Maybe you're avoiding, maybe you're like, meh, so if I don't do it, someone else can do it. But when you discussed procrastination, you did the hypnosis for procrastination. Let's dive into that a little bit. Like, why did that work?
Yep, absolutely. So, what people sometimes don't understand, and it can be so frustrating for people to know they have a problem like procrastination. We'll call it a challenge rather than a problem,
Oh, I like
because
that.
a problem can't be fixed, right? A challenge is something that you can work through. But a lot
Yep.
of people get so frustrated with themselves and almost baffled as to why they can't get from point A to point B. I know I'm procrastinating. I know that it doesn't benefit me. It actually is ruining my career. It makes me unproductive. It causes me overwhelm and stress. And I know all this, but I still can't manage to get things done or to stop procrastinating. And why is that? It's the same thing with losing weight or quitting smoking. And it's because it's in most cases almost impossible, not in some cases straight impossible, to rationalize your way into a new behavior. And so it doesn't matter that you know why you're doing it, that you are doing it, how much it's hurting you. Your subconscious works on autopilot, kind of like driving on autopilot.
Right.
So it just does what it does until that challenge gets tackled and addressed in the same part of the mind where it was created. So you probably heard the saying, you can't fix a problem in one level of consciousness that was created in a different level of consciousness. So it doesn't matter how much we want to stop it, and we tell ourselves we'll start Monday, and we might even stop procrastinating for a couple of days or a week or a month, but then we default back to the old behavior. So with hypnosis, the reason it's so powerful and so effective is because we go right to the source and the part of the mind where that behavior was created and where it originates from, and we change it there. and we rewrite the script, if you will. And so when that happens on a conscious level versus just using willpower, it's a game changer. And for most challenges, such as procrastination, you don't need to really be in a deeper state of hypnosis than the alpha brainwave state, the same state that you go into automatically, right? Surprising for people to hear that.
That's surprising.
People think you need to be in this really deep, profound state of hypnosis to achieve most things and accomplish their goals and achieve their goals. It's just not true. For most things, you can simply be in the lightest state of hypnosis and still overcome the challenge, i.e. procrastination. Because what happens is that as a hypnotist, we help you to lower your conscious activity. So we lower resistance. We lower that part of your mind that rationalizes and criticizes and judges and says, I can't do it, it's not going to work. And that skeptic part of you. And then as that part of the mind subsides, the subconscious emerges and comes forward. And when you have a lower conscious activity and higher subconscious activity, that part of the mind then, which is the most powerful part of your mind, essentially kicks into gear and absorbs those suggestions that we give you during the hypnosis session like a sponge. And so that's what makes it so effective. We go right to where the problem started and we address it there.
Oh, that's so sexy. I like that. Okay, so
know,
let's take it one step further. So procrastination is alpha. Are there situations where you must go deeper, or you not must, that you do go deeper?
Absolutely. So you can go deeper regardless, even if you're focusing on a problem or a challenge rather that would only require the alpha brainwave state. A lot of times as hypnotists, we practice various techniques and methods to deepen this state. The deeper a person is in hypnosis, the closer they are to their subconscious mind. That be their memories, their emotions, everything that has made them who they are. It's just not necessary in most cases. So some of the cases where it would be necessary would be if someone, for instance, and this is going to blow people's minds who have never heard about this, but there's something called hypnotic anesthesia, where some people are allergic to general anesthesia, local anesthesia, and they need to undergo an operation, or even just fearful of it if not allergic. Well, hypnotic anesthesia is a great alternative. So someone can have open heart surgery, any kind of operation really, from something, simple and minor to invasive surgery in hypnosis, not feeling any pain, in that in-between state of awake and asleep, but that would require more than just the alpha brainwave state. So we would deepen the state to get you to not experience any sensation, any pain, to lock up the muscles of the body so you're not flinching and moving around during the procedure. So that's something that's more complex, I would say, where we would need to deepen your state. But it's possible and people do it every day.
What?
Mind blown.
So now, is that something? All right, because procrastination, yes, that's one thing. Now you're taking it to this whole nother level. Now, obviously, it seems like there's like a large spectrum. Mm-hmm. At what point do you need to call in a professional, or what point can you start to learn? Because you've learned, so I'm assuming you are a hypnosis instructor also, so that you teach this to others. Can you self-hypnotize across the whole gamut, or?
Absolutely. So for some things, it would definitely be more helpful to have a facilitator and a guide, a hypnotherapist who's trained and qualified to really guide you through the process, so that your only job is just to close your eyes, relax, and let your subconscious follow along. With a lot of other things, and some things that might even surprise some people, it's very possible and very effective to just practice self-hypnosis. I've actually used self-hypnosis for healing a bone fracture, which my surgeon at the time told me there was no way that was going to happen. I broke my finger, my pinky knuckle, actually, in 2017. And it was a pretty bad shatter. And had to go see a surgeon, and was told that I would need a cast for 2 months, that I would need surgery, inevitable, and 3 months of physical therapy. And I had way too much going on in my life at the time to submit to any of that. So I said, look, I'm a professional hypnotist. I know a thing or two about self-hypnosis. I'm going to really go for self-healing here? And he looked at me like I was nuts, because I'm sure that's exactly what he thought. This is crazy.
Right.
And said, that's not going to work. You're not going to gain normal range of motion. You're still going to need surgery regardless. But I signed a waiver, decided I was going to use self-hypnosis for. Within 10 days of practicing self-hypnosis at home, no intervention medically whatsoever, my bone healed by 70%. Add another
wow.
week to that, it was completely healed, full range of motion, no surgery, no cast, no physical therapy, not even a day of it.
So did you end up teaching that surgeon about hypnotherapy?
He was stunned, and he was like, look, I don't understand how this works. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And actually started to send clients to my office for hypnosis, because he was so stunned by it, that it actually
That's
worked.
brilliant.
Because I went in for an x-ray, he couldn't argue with that. He said, your bone is healed. So
That's
I
amazing.
guess it works.
So for people listening, right, and they're curious, how can they learn?
Yeah.
How can they be like, Leah, I need to know more about this?
Yeah. So really, whether people have a desire or interest in becoming professional hypnotists themselves, like I did, I would say that just to be able to be successful in life and master your mind and have control over your mind instead of continuing to allow it to control you, learning hypnosis is so useful and so beneficial, really, for anyone, again, just who wants to be in the driver's seat of their own life. And so learning about how hypnosis works, what it actually is, how your subconscious mind operates and receives information and interprets language, which is completely different than how your conscious mind does all those things, is invaluable. And in part of that process, when you learn how the subconscious mind works, when you learn how hypnosis works, you can also learn how to reprogram it yourself. And so you can use self-hypnosis for anything from overcoming, fears, to pain control, to sleeping better at night, to healing a bone fracture, to what I'm going to be using it for in a few months, which is, so I'm almost 6 months pregnant as we speak.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm going to be doing a natural home birth, unmedicated, no interventions, with self-hypnosis as the only tool for pain relief. And so it can help you with such a wide range of issues, but not to mention just knowing how to communicate better with yourself. People don't realize self-talk is also a form of hypnosis. Anytime you talk yourself into doing something or out of doing something, anytime you give yourself suggestions, whether you're saying to yourself that I'm confident, powerful, or stupid and I'm never going to be able to do this, whatever it is, you're feeding your mind hypnotic suggestions all the time. And so learning about it just dictates whether you're hypnotizing yourself and allowing society, the media, the world to hypnotize you positively or negatively. But hypnosis is already working in your life, so you might as well learn more about it so you can be in the driver's seat.
Right. It's like that Aramaic phrase, abracadabra. It actually stands for I speak into creation what I desire. So starting next week, is it? At the time of this recording, you're actually going to be hosting not a masterclass, a workshop, yeah?
Yep. So it's going to be 7 days online, interactive, but it's also something that you can do at your pace. It's on Monday, January 23rd, goes through January 29th. It's a 7-day introduction to hypnosis virtual workshop, where you will learn it's a very comprehensive course for an introductory course, and it'll teach you everything you need to know about what hypnosis is, isn't, how the mind works, the rules and the operations of the subconscious mind, how to use hypnosis, all of its benefits, uses, applications, how to hypnotize yourself, how to hypnotize other people, hypnotic inductions, how to deepen the hypnotic state, self-hypnosis, conversational hypnosis. We cover a lot in those 7 days.
I love it. For those of you guys who are listening, definitely check the show notes. I'll be dropping Leah's link in there. Definitely join and register. Unfortunately, because I know so many of you do walk, drive while listening to podcasts, I do not want to do any form of hypnosis on this call, but I highly recommend connecting with Leah on Facebook and joining her Facebook community. What is the community called again?
It's called the Subconscious Mastermind.
And I'll drop that in the show notes too, because there's so much information. And again, you don't have to love brain science, but how cool is it to understand how you as a human work? I I can't get enough. I know I'm joining in this Hypnosis 101, and I hope to see so many of you guys there. Leah, thank you so much for coming on. If people want to connect with you, what's going to be the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is my favorite thing to talk about. So I could be here with you all day. So I really
I know the
appreciate
feeling.
your time, and I can feel your excitement about it too. I can't wait to have you in this training and then get your feedback afterwards. So to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook. My name is spelled Leahagami. You can
I'll
also
drop that in the
email
show
me.
notes.
Yep, you can email me directly at info@loveprojectinternational.com, or connect with me through the Facebook group, the Subconscious Mastermind.
Okay. I will definitely be dropping all of that in the show notes. So please, please make sure you guys click on the links. It's going to be so exciting. And we all know I love to add to my certifications. So we know that I'll be doing this just to not only support myself, my family, but for my clients. So think of this in terms of a self investment that you get to use to help other people. Literally, the whole definition of the ripple effect. Leah, thank you so much for being on with us today. And guys, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps the podcast get out to more people. And we would love for you to tag us on socials. I'll drop that in the show notes also. What was your favorite thing that you learned about? For me, I'm shocked about the anesthesia hypnosis. That's like mind blowing to me. That is the power of our subconscious mind. So, Leah, thank you again so much. And thank you all for listening to today's episode. If it resonates with you at all, again, tag us on social media. And remember, it's time to rise. So let's go.